Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you to preview this state dinner. From my mother, I learned that setting a table can be an act of love. With just fresh flowers and a set of candles, she could turn an ordinary dinner into a magical moment that stayed with us long after the dishes were cleared away. Once I had my own family, I did my best to keep that tradition alive. From my husband, I learned that all politics is personal. It's about finding the common threads of humanity that connect us, that transcend distance and difference, and building on those shared values. We hope to bring those two ideas together as we welcome President Yoon and Mrs. Kim, honoring the 70 years of our alliance with symbols and moments of beauty that reflect both our countries. From the painted animals that greet our guests to the swirl of colors in the table decor that mirrors the South Korean flag, to the mix of symbolic flowers throughout, peonies, hibiscus, azaleas, and orchids, we hope to showcase the harmony of our cultures and our people intertwined. Guests will enjoy their meal beneath the boughs of cherry trees, and you have to admit that's pretty spectacular, a shared symbol of the renewal of spring. And perhaps nothing better represents the harmony of our cultures than the guest chef who has designed our menu, Chef Edward Lee. His style of cuisine reflects his Korean family and the influence of his New York upbringing and Kentucky home. Chef Lee creates meals that are both familiar and surprising, a fusion of different worlds that finds a perfect balance. We're honored to have his incredible talent alongside our White House chefs. Finally, the evening will conclude with something distinctly American: musicals. Broadway stars will perform renditions of iconic songs, showcasing the craft and creativity of our country. Every detail of this dinner has been thoughtfully planned by a team of people from across our government. So I want to thank the White House residents, our social team, and the State Department staff who've been working so hard to make this visit meaningful. When the President and I traveled to the Republic of Korea in the past, we have been welcomed with open arms. And it's my intention to bring much warmth and joy to President Yoon and Mrs. Kim Wednesday evening. We hope to honor both the people of their home nation and the generations of Americans who share their roots. Now I will turn it over to our social secretary, who has guided this entire progress, Carlos Elizondo. Carlos?
Thank you, Dr. Biden, and thank you all for joining us today. In the many years I've worked with Dr. Biden, her most important hosting priority has always been to make sure every guest feels welcomed and valued. In that spirit, we work to create a special experience for everyone who comes through these doors, whether they're here for a daily tour or for unique moments like this state dinner. And as you just heard, we've put great care, time, and thought into every decor element and tablescape that guests will experience on Wednesday evening. This will be our first state dinner hosted on the state floor. And from the moment guests step through the East Portico, they will be surrounded by the history and heritage of both nations. At booksellers, guests will be greeted by a screen evoking traditional Korean ink brush painting displaying the harmony of our two cultures. The landscape features a tiger, magpies, and hibiscus, the national animals and flower of South Korea. And in the same hills reside our national symbols: American bison, a bald eagle, and roses. Above them sparkle a waning moon, a nod to Korea's use of the lunar calendar, and a sky of stars meant to resemble those of the American flag. The evening begins with a reception on the ground floor. Pink azaleas, found abundantly in South Korea and in our capital city, will adorn the cocktail tables. Platinum is also woven throughout the room, the color of the 70th anniversary of the U.S.-Korea alliance. As guests enter the East Room, we hope they will feel a sense of belonging and friendship that can only come from gathering together to share such a meal. In this room, spring truly will come to life. For the First Lady, it was important to choose flowers that mean something not only to her, but also to Mrs. Kim. In shades of reds and pinks that complement the table's blues are flowers that are beloved by both. Butterfly ranunculi sit alongside the pale blush and bold magentas of peonies and orchids. They will be surrounded by towering cherry blossoms, recreating the magic of walking along the tidal basin or in the streets of Cheju. Around them, white Korean moon jars bring simple modesty, reflecting the flickering of candles in Hanji paper-finished glasses. And the brush painting motif continues onto the chair covers, which feature more peonies and butterflies, symbols of prosperity and joy. And when each president speaks, he will be framed by the vibrant colors and designs you may expect to see at an ancient Korean temple, along with the historic architecture of this storied house, symbolizing our nation's powerful history together and our flourishing future. I would like to thank Zhang Li and her creative team at FET, an event and design firm, for their help in creating the design and guest experience for this dinner. Zhang pulls so much of what you see here from her heart, shaped by her experiences as a Korean American. Thank you, Zhang. We are so grateful for Zhang and her team's work, helping us amplify what is so special about this community and our nation's alliance. Finally, I also want to thank the many teams, especially my team, Team Social, and the Office of the Chief of Protocol, who have worked tirelessly to make this state visit memorable. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Chef Edward Lee, who worked with our First Lady and White House chefs to create the thoughtful and delicious cuisine for the evening. Chef Lee.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Dr. Biden. I'm very proud today to share with you the menu that we collaborated on. As a Korean American chef growing up in Brooklyn, opening restaurants in Kentucky, and now living and working in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., I've always loved and promoted the intersection of American cuisine with Korean flavors. As a kid, Thanksgiving dinners were my family's favorite meal, and it was very traditional, with turkey and sides and stuffing. But being Korean, we always had to put soy sauce and kimchi in everything. And I've kept that spirit throughout my whole culinary career. So to honor the longstanding collaboration and friendship between America and South Korea, I wanted to showcase the best of American cuisine merged with a touch of Korean flavors. It's always a delight for me to be able to create the intersection of flavors for the guests to see how well they blend together. I was honored to work with the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, in choosing the menu items as well as the look and feel of the presentation of this momentous occasion. You know, executing a dinner like this of this magnitude is a team effort, and the White House chefs and staff has been the best team that I've ever had the pleasure of working with. So thank you, Chef Chris, thank you, Chef Susie, and to Carlos too. It has been an honor to work with all of you. Thank you. a duo of appetizers. So the first thing you'll see here is a Maryland crab cake with sort of our version of an updated coleslaw. It's got kohlrabi, cabbage, cucumber with a gochujang vinaigrette. And then in the little cup there is yellow squash soup with cured strawberries and perilla leaves. For the main course, you have braised beef short ribs with butterbean grits, sorghum glazed carrots, pine nuts, and a little bit of reduced demi-glace sauce. And for dessert?
And for dessert, Chef Lee has chosen lemon bar ice cream, and included with it is bananas that are caramelized, and then we have included some ginger snap cookies that are ground up into little crumbs. We also have blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries. And also included is from the White House kitchen garden. We have fresh mint, some pink dianthus flowers, and maritime flowers known as sea thrift, all from the White House garden. And then also Chef Lee has suggested and given us a great recipe for doenjang caramel sauce that is drizzled across the top as well as around the base of the dessert.
What is that?
It's a soybean flavoring and paste that's been added to a caramel sauce, and it's very delicious, adds a very distinct flavor, and is actually delicious with the ice cream and all the fruit.
Chef Lee, what was your inspiration for coming up with these dishes you served? Is it seasonal? Is it something that one of the presidents likes? I mean, we all know he loves ice cream. So.
Yes, that was the first thing I was told, ice cream. But no, I mean, the first thing we do is we always want to lead with the seasons, and we always want to lead with what's fresh, what's available. So that was my first step. So really, we wanted to do spring, something that's fresh. So again, whether it's traditionally grits are made with dried corn, but we want to do something that's, herbaceous and green. So we did the butterbean. The yellow squash is perfect in season right now. The fresh coleslaw being, bright. But again, I wanted to take some of my favorite American foods and just tinker with it a little bit. And this is also how I cook in my restaurants, is just add a little bit of Korean touches to it, where again, it's familiar yet unexpected. And it's not traditional Korean food, but it just gives you a little hint of Korean flavors.
And the soup is a hot soup?
It's a chilled soup. Yeah. It's very refreshing.
Can you talk us through just the process of preparing for this, how you came up with the menu, how long it took when the White House reached out?
It's been a process. It's been long. We came up with a number of dishes. We did a tasting with Dr. Jill Biden and her staff, and we tasted through, 10, 12, 13 different courses of food. And it was really just a collaboration of talking through what fit for the dinner, what fit, just presentation-wise, colors, everything. So we narrowed it down. Then we did another round of testing, and this is the result.
Can we borrow a fork? I'm curious, given how personal this dinner is to you, did that lead to extra pressure on you, or did that lead to extra excitement?
This is a lot of pressure. Yes, it's a lot of it's the first person I called was my mother, and I've done a lot of these dinners, and I've done dinners for thousands of people, but this is a little more important. There's diplomacy involved, and there is some, my mother was an immigrant that came here from Korea, and we struggled, and we had amazing opportunities, and we've always felt this huge debt of gratitude to the United States of America for the opportunities that they've had, that I've been able to have. So to come full circle and to give back and be able to do this was, a very proud moment for me, and also for my mother.
What did she advise?
She just said, don't mess it up. She's very blunt.
Is braised beef the Korean version of kalbijim?
It's a variation of kalbijim, yeah. So it's not traditional recipe, a little bit blend, again, of an American recipe with Korean flavors.
Will your mom be there?
No.
All right. Thank you, chefs. We know you have lots to do to get ready for the state dinner. We will leave the dishes here for all you to get close-up photos, and we'll undo the rope and stanchions so you can get close-up of the tables.
I like the first course.
Can you
I
give,
thought it was, so American with the crab cake. And so, but I love them all. Joe's favorite will be the last.
Dr. Martin, is there anything else you're looking forward to happening this week?
The White House Correspondents' Dinner.
State
So
dinner,
many
busy week.
things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Biden.